You may not even know you're doing this, but are you making it too hard to join your own Zoom meetings? Like to the point when people log in and they have any trouble at all, if they have to sign in or remember a passcode or find a link, you realize that you're adding resistance and they're not going to join, and that was your chance to connect with them. I'm Don Pikula with Golden Goose Studios, and we cover all angles of online presentation and home office studios. And in fact, what I want to talk about today is actually spurred by my own Zoom settings, reverting, changing, without my knowing it, to the point where it was difficult for people to join my meetings. They had to enter a passcode or they had to authenticate themselves. Let me show you. In your Zoom meetings, and I'm just going to bring up any meeting I can find. I'm in one now, actually, so you see the group above me. I'll pick the next one I have here. In fact, I'll pick this one here, because this one I need to reschedule anyway. So what happens here is when you click Edit a Meeting, you're going to find down here is a set of security parameters. And there's 3 options. Now, on my previous account, which was enterprise level, if I didn't select one, I could save the meeting and people could just come right in on the link. There'd be no resistance whatsoever, like nothing. Like click the link, you're in. Problem is, because the program I was on, and many of you are experiencing this, this is August of 2024, and many of you are experiencing this thing where if you had enterprise level through a company, enterprise Zoom through a company, another company, Zoom cracked down on all of that this summer and probably will continue into the fall. So there's no sense looking for a get around on this. I had to go to actual pro level Zoom, which, okay, cost me $100 more, which I'm fine with that. But what I'm not fine with and what was tough was the downgrade in service. I mean, and I had to buy my own seats to get over 100. I'm not even using the cloud storage anymore. But one thing that when I switched over that was a massive difference was my security settings defaulted to passcode. Now, I was never used to having a passcode, meaning that when someone enters your meeting, if passcode is on, they have to type a code in here. Now, if you're good, then there's a reason for that. Maybe this is something that they've invested in, something very secure, something you want to make sure only that person ever finds a link to join or can join. You could put a passcode. Now, you can randomly do the passcode, or you can type in whatever passcode you're looking for. I mean, I might do passcode studio, right? That might be my passcode. Could be your name, your initials. And passcode's a very valid thing. Just know that when they enter the meeting, they're going to have to type in that passcode. Except in the way I'll show at the end, where we actually embed the passcode into the link. And that's actually the preferred way to do it. But I'll show you that after I explain the next 2 options. So if you're not going to do passcode, you may choose to do a waiting room. Now, most of my meetings, in fact, almost 85% or 90% of my meetings, I will choose a waiting room. Reason being is because I want to know, because sometimes they're back to back. And I don't necessarily, if I need to wrap something up or someone shows up early, I want to let them in at the exact time. In fact, when you take a part of my challenge, you'll see the VIPs are in there for the first hour, and then we let the general session in for the second hour. So we use a waiting room to do that. That way it's one link. There's no confusion, no VIP link, general session link. It makes it simple right up until we got to make sure we got the right list to let people in. And we do that with a waiting room. And there's even a reason for one-on-one. If you're doing a one-on-one call or coaching or mentoring, and it starts at a certain time, maybe they've paid for an hour with you or whatever it happens to be, that way you can start it right on time, but you can see that they're there, or whether the next person is in early, you can make sure you're set to go. There's even options, by the way, to message people in the waiting room, just letting them know, hey, we'll let you in the top of the hour. I'll be ready in a couple minutes, whatever. You have that point of communication, but they know they're in the right spot. In fact, it'll stay on their screen. It'll say host has started the meeting. We've let them know you're here. They will let you in shortly. Or we're waiting on the host to start the meeting. They'll know that too. Now, again, 80% of my meetings are with a waiting room. And by the way, this actually, I should mention this. This comes in big time when it comes to having a co-host. So right now in this meeting, Jen is my co-host and Zach is my co-host. So if someone decided to join this meeting, I could see them, the participants, and let them in, but so could Zach and so could Jen. They could absolutely let them into the meeting at this point. So if I'm presenting or articulating a solution or transferring something that I do, I don't have to look at that. But if I did want to look at that, it would just be in the top of my participants. It'd give me a little alert. I'd let them in. No problem. Now, the last one is my least favorite. So this is require authentication to join. I'll tell you what, this one, you're making them sign into Zoom. And I know most have a Zoom account. So like, Don, what's the problem? They have a Zoom account. I'm asking them to sign in. But listen, some people, they don't have their password saved every single browser they're going to use, especially if they click it on their phone and now they're in a different browser than they use on their laptop. And I had to do this the other day. I didn't remember my own Zoom password. So now I'm trying to log in under Google account and go to my Gmail to verify. This one of all of them can cause the most trouble, the most stress. And if they were on the fence anyway, they're not going to bother. And it may not be a not bother. It may be like, well, this is frustrating. I don't know. Something must be wrong. And they leave. And that's the last thing we want to have happen. So again, most of mine is going to be waiting room. But let me show you one setting where you may want to use password or passcode. If I check passcode, again, I can change the passcode, but watch what happens when I go to settings. Now, in Zoom settings, there are pages upon pages. I think I heard a couple hundred or maybe 300 settings available. So don't go trying to look for it, all right? At the top, you can search, and I'm going to search passcode. That's Zoom's word. So in settings, when I search passcode, it says the third choice down here, and it may not be the third for you, but it is for me today. Embedded passcode, embed passcode in invite link for one-click join. If you toggle this one on, you can turn it off, you can turn it on, right? If you have it on, that passcode that we had set up for that meeting will go into the link, meaning when they click that specific link, it will automatically enter the passcode for them. They won't even see it, and they'll be able to join the meeting with, like it says here, one click. That's the path of least resistance. We've tested it on phones, on Mac, on PC, on desktops and laptops. This is by far the easiest way for people to join your meetings. So if you check this in settings, make sure that embed passcode and invite link for one-click join, then you would go into your meetings, and when you selected passcode, again, you're going to do that by clicking on the meeting. You're going to go under Edit, and what you can decide to do then is select the passcode option while unselecting the other options. You could actually type the passcode in if you'd like, but what will happen now, this link has now changed, and the link that was here is now a different link. So if you are doing this for the first time in an established meeting or recurring meeting, a meeting you're already using, you will have to resend this link to everyone who you want to join because it has changed to have the embedded passcode. So does that make sense? Does that help you look at the three options? I mean, and again, there's no right or wrong answer. Choose one. I choose waiting room most of the time, but that embed passcode makes it really easy. The path of least resistance for anyone to join your meeting. Yeah, Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. I've been wondering with registration, you've answered my question today, but with registration, if you're wanting to get people's emails through the registration, you obviously need the registration then. Is that the only way to capture emails?
Yeah, great question. And what she's talking about is when you set up a meeting. In fact, I'll start a new meeting here so I can show you exactly what she means. So I'm going to schedule a meeting, and I'm not going to play with any of this. That is what it is. Even before I get to security, there's this option called registration. And if you check that that's required, they're going to have to enter their name and their email in order to either register in advance for that meeting, which at that point we want them to do. If we had a meeting in the future, tomorrow, next week, the next month, and we want to have them in the system so Zoom can remind them, then we want to make sure that they enter their name, their email, and then they're going to click register. And then we'll be able to go under a tab called registration and watch as people register for the meeting. We can send confirmations from there. The only problem is, and by the way, here's the security. So I would uncheck this. I would change this. And this would be if you want to do the embed, uncheck passcode, go to waiting room if you want the waiting room. So yes, you're going to have to enter their name and email, and then they're going to go into the waiting room. This is how I do the challenge. This is how I do most of my meetings. But the benefit of having that is I get to see as people register. In fact, what I'll probably do, I want to be careful. I'm not going to show emails on here, but if I go to a meeting where I do have registrations, I think I have registrations. Well, I can probably look under this one. I know this isn't a big meeting. This is a rather small meeting, but under registration, I can see there's 15 people signed up for this meeting, right? So I can see in advance who's there. And if I go to view, then I would actually see their emails. Now, there's no great way, there's no great integration right now to take those emails and move them into ClickFunnels or High Level or your Active Campaign or your CRM. There's no great way to do that. In fact, I don't think Zoom is really that incentivized to work on it because they want you using their platform of the future. But you can copy and paste the names, like 15 at a time, into Excel, turn that into your CSV file that you could import into any CRM or any email campaign if you wanted to. But at least we'll show you who's there, give you the option to resend the confirmation, and that by itself is huge. The other thing that happens is once you're done with a meeting, in fact, if I go to a meeting that has already happened, but I know has registrations in it, in fact, if I do this one, yeah, this one had registrations. Let's say I make a change, right? I make a change. I want to edit the occurrences. And let's say I just change the time. I'm not going to change the time, but let's say I change the time from noon to 1 o'clock. And I go to hit save. It's going to say some participants have already registered for this meeting. Yeah, 15 of them. Are you sure you want to make changes? I'm going to hit yes or no. It also has a checkbox here that says notify registrants about changes to this meeting. So it's kind of like a free reminder. And the reminder is not coming from me. It's not coming from my email. It's coming from Zoom. And I don't care whether you're on Google, Outlook, Yahoo Mail, I don't care what mail you're on, the servers will look at an email from Zoom, and you better believe it's going to be prioritized, isn't it? Yeah, an email from Zoom is going to be pretty high on the list. That's not going to junk. No chance. So this would give you a chance to send a new reminder to all the registrants. Now, I'm not going to click that. I'm going to hit no. I don't want to make that change. I'll put it back to noon. I'll hit save on that, and it's good to go there. So that answers. Does that answer the registration question? Why and when you'd use registration?
Yes, and one further question: when you have an advanced registration option, is there any inbuilt reminders, or you have to craft reminders on top of that?
Great question. Well, they're going to get a reminder from Zoom as soon as they sign up, right? As soon as they register, boom, they got an email from Zoom. There's nothing built in that will remind them unless, listen, Zoom Workplace is getting more and more robust. So all that's there somewhere. If you dive into it yet, I haven't dove into it yet. I'm not using it yet. There's Zoom Scheduler, which is like Calendly. There's the whole reason this whole thing is shifting anyways, because Zoom's coming with all those tools. The way I would do it is I would go into the registration and let me find one. Tell you what, let me make this is kind of important to see. Let me make a new meeting that requires a registration. So schedule a meeting. I'm just going to leave it as test. I'm probably going to set it for tomorrow. I'll hit required on there. I'll leave a waiting room. I'll hit save. Right. So now we're not talking about branding, which you could do branding as well, right? Branding, if you click on branding, you can add a banner, you can add a logo, cool stuff. But I'm just sticking straight with the registration now. And to do this, I'm actually going to click on that link and I'm going to register here. So this is, let me show you. This is my name and email now on a registration page. I hit register. Oh, host cannot register. No problem. I'll use one of my other emails. I'll use don@donpikula.com. Now, when I save this, I need to say I'm not a robot. All right, now I got the form complete. So now that's all within Zoom. So now when I go back to my Zoom meeting and I look at registration, I should have one. One is me. So now the reason I did that is now I can show you. I didn't want to show you people's actual emails, but now that I hit view, I have the first registrant for this meeting. And if I had 15, there'd be like 15 of them on a page. If I had 150, there'd be like 10 pages. Okay. I would then check all the registrants and I would resend the confirmation email. And I could do that an hour before, day before. I could do it every day. I could do it every hour. There's no limit to how often you can do it aside from how bad you want to bother people. What I would do with this though, is I would do this at least the day before, an hour, 4 hours before, 1 hour before. If you did it 3 times, that'd be enough. When I build actual automations and reminders into sequences, it's about a 4-day sequence or 5-day sequence of reminders. But that would be the easy way to do it just through Zoom right here. Does that answer that? That make sense? Perfect. Cool. Now, the way to get it out of here is you would literally just have to copy and paste all 15 emails for that page, paste them into Excel or whatever. It'll look all weird. You have to format it, but once you're done, you're done. And again, you could probably get, I think 15 to 20 per page, and then however many pages you need to do that, but you only copy one page at a time. If you're going to resend confirmation emails, by the way, same thing. You could only check all one page at a time. So if you had 5 pages, you have to click all, resend confirmation, go to page 2, check all, resend confirmation. Does that make sense? You have to do that over and over until you do all the pages. But again, it comes right from Zoom. The email does. So it's not a bad deal. It's a really great way to remind people exactly how to make that happen. So, any other questions on that, either the registrations or the security of Zoom? That pretty much get you going. Very cool. All right. I'm going to leave it there with this video. If this is something that you like to look at, subscribe to this channel. More content like this is coming. If you have specific questions, leave them in the comments here, and we'll do our best to address them or turn it into a future video. Take care.